Hey, this is Troy Taylor, head football coach at LC Bird High School in Chesterfield, Virginia. Wanted to go live, do something a little new. I wanted to talk about a podcast that I've listened to recently with Lex Fridman and Mr. Beast. You know, it's kind of weird for a football coach to be watching a podcast with a guy who's from Russia, and I mean he's an engineer at MIT. He's got one of the best podcasts in the world. And he's got on Mr. Beast, who's a 24-year-old. But I've been talking to my classes, and thanks for joining in. If you got any questions, go to YouTube and leave a comment. You can come on the show with me if you want, but I was talking a little bit about Mr. Beast and Lex Fridman. A quote that Mr. Beast had said, he said that surround yourself with people who you want to be like. Surround yourself with people who you want to be like. That's a cheat code to life. And that's kind of profound for a 24-year-old to say that. You know, to surround yourself with people that you want to be like, and that's a cheat code to life. Mr. Beast, he said he just got into weightlifting, and so he surrounded himself with weightlifters because they always want to go lift weights. If you're watching, if you want to come on the show, if you got a comment or a question, go to YouTube, youtube.com/Totem Pole Sports. Just going to go live a little bit at 6:30. We got Brad Bradley coming on. But just talking about Mr. Beast on Lex Fridman's show and how he said that surround yourself with people you want to be like. That's a cheat code to life. So Mr. Beast had gotten into weightlifting, and he surrounded himself with weightlifters because weightlifters, they're always going to lift weights. So they go to Mr. Beast and they say, hey, man, you want to go lift? He goes, yeah. So he goes, lifts, works out, comes home, and the weightlifters, bodybuilders are saying, you know, hey, you want to get something to eat? I'm going to order me some food. And, you know, Mr. Beast just says, well, order me what you're going to eat. So he says it's a lot easier to eat healthy because these bodybuilder guys are always eating protein. They're eating grilled chicken and salad and vegetables. So that's what he's done. And, you know, as a young coach, you know, I went to some of the GOATs and tried to learn from them. So I'm just going to talk about some of those people that I tried to surround myself with as a young coach. You know, the first person was Coach Bedwell. I came here to Bird and coached under Coach Bedwell. And, you know, he's a Hall of Famer. He's won 3 state championships. And then I got the opportunity to go to Meadowbrook High School and coach with Bill Bowles. He won a state championship in 2004, and he's a wing T coach. So I'd played in, you know, power I offense in high school and played in pro style offense in college. Well, I practiced. I didn't play much. And then, you know, went to Bird and we were running the I, and then I went to Meadowbrook and we were running the wing T. So that was a great experience. Coach Bill Mountjoy, it's another one. Coach Bill Mountjoy, I like to say he's like the passing game guru. If you're watching, and if you have any questions or comments, go to YouTube. You leave it in the comments, or if you want to come on, I can send you a link. If you want to come on, I just wanted to go live a little bit. I was talking about surrounding yourself with people you want to be like. Coach McPhee, we've had Coach McPhee on twice. The great head coach at Huguenot High School. Patrick Kane, he was head coach at Hermitage. He was an assistant coach when I was an assistant at Bird, and he left and took the Hermitage job in 2001. He was there from 2001 to 2017. I'm trying to think of some other coaches. Brad Bradley, who we're having on tonight. Brad Bradley will be on at 6:30. Hopefully we're getting his dad on, who was a longtime coach. Todd Jones at Essex is a great football coach. I mean, there's been so many people. I've had some Coach Chilcote. We did a show on Coach Chilcote with some of his former players, who he's now passed away. But he had a great football program at Verona, one of the greatest of all time. They talked about how important he was. Another way to say this about surround yourself with people who you want to be like. It's a cheat code to life. There you go, man. Yeah. I'd, 30Z, as a former Falcon, I learned the importance of the weight room and how it translated to the field. And I remember that weight room y'all had at Huguenot. And I used to do those camps. I don't know if you remember that. We had those NFL camps over there with Coach Mack, Coach McPhee, and then his right-hand man, Coach Pig. And, I mean, what a special time it was, for Coach McPhee, being there at Huguenot. And I played against Coach McPhee, but he was always so good. I said on the podcast to my mom and grandma when he used to run that concession stand at the Richmond Diamond. And I saw Raynard Cox is coaching over there on the new staff for Coach Scott at Huguenot. And then I saw Bruce Branch. He came back and talked to the guys, and a lot of people forget about Bruce Branch. He was a 6 foot, 180-pound, everything, running back, wide receiver, went to Penn State, played in the league. So real happy for the job they're doing over there at Huguenot, and, that legacy of Coach McPhee, a real trailblazer in football in the 804. So if you have any questions or comments, you go to YouTube, leave it in the comments. We'll talk about it. Or if you want to come on the show, I'm just going to go live for a little bit today, just talking a little bit about what I heard on the Lex Fridman and Mr. Beast podcast about how Mr. Beast said there's a cheat code to life, and it's surround yourself with people who you want to be like. Another thing that I got out of that podcast was Mr. Beast was talking about, as he went up the ladder or the mountain of YouTube, he always thought, when I get to 10,000 followers, when I get to 100,000 followers, I'm going to meet some people that are like me. That's what he always thought. When I get to maybe 1 million followers, I'll meet somebody like me. Or when I get to 5 million followers. And he said on the podcast, I suggest all coaches really watch this, Lex Fridman and Mr. Beast, especially the end. But he said he never really met anybody like himself, as he got to, these different levels of YouTube. And it reminded me kind of what, it reminds me kind of what Nick Saban said to Bill Belichick in that HBO special they did on those two longtime friends, that, Nick Saban says, as he was going up the mountain or the ladder of coaching, you get to the top of the mountain and, he says, this is what Nick Saban says, that eventually you become the mountain. And that's what Mr. Beast kind of has done with YouTube. Is he's become the mountain. He's became the standard, and he's what everybody's trying to beat, with his number of followers. And at 24 years old, it's kind of crazy. Absolutely a complete beast. Do you think strength and conditioning is emphasized as much as it used to be? Love the podcast, by the way. Appreciate that. I think that in the Central region, Varina and Coach Chilcote, they were ahead of their time lifting weights. And we were lifting weights when I was here at Byrd under Coach Bland, and that was in the 90s. We benched, we hang clean, we squat. We did the same type of program that they did at West Virginia. Coach Bland, he played for the same offensive line coach as Orlando Pace at Ohio State. Coach Bland played before him. And when I went to Meadowbrook, I kind of, patterned ourselves after what I learned at Byrd, and then, the weights at Byrd and the weights at Varina. So, that was something we really hung our hat on at Meadowbrook, was the lifting. And I think today, 30Z, I think that's really how you build your program. And now you can practice out of season now and throw the ball and practice offense and defense and football year round. But that's where you build that discipline, that buy-in, that commitment, and that strength is in that weight room. So I think 30Z, that there's a lot of teams out there. It just ain't Verona, it just ain't Meadowbrook, and it just ain't Bird and Highland Springs that's lifting. And you've kind of seen, since I've been at Bird the last 5 years, that it's been some parity. Other than Highland Springs winning 5 state championships, there's been a lot of parity. Manchester's been great. There's been a lot of parity, and that's because of the emphasis in the weight room. So, yeah, I do think it's emphasized. I think everybody's lifting. I think everybody has a year-round program now, and it used to be some teams just show up in August and see how they do, but now you can't do that. Jay Hub, he's a coach in Roanoke I think he's coaching semi-pro now. The weight room is a big thing, and practice time. I remember when I was a young coach, Coach McPhee would say, Troy, you can't call it practice. You can't call it practice in the offseason. They'll get you in trouble. You got to call it workouts. But now, you can practice out of season. So, yeah, we practice 3 days a week year round. And then during the season, we go 5 days a week, including Fridays where we play a game. J-Hub, I was with the homeschool team that we only had 2 days of practice and no weight room. It showed on the field. I never coached homeschool, but, that's got to be difficult because you don't have kids that are actually at your school and you can't get them, right to practice. They got to come from home. But I think that's a great thing that homeschool kids can play for a team and experience football. So, yeah, I never had to go through that. My man, Coach Bald, go follow him on Twitter. Go follow him on TikTok. Brotherhood is the best built in the weight room and in the offseason. That's true. Just to talk a little bit about Coach Bald, Kyle Anderson, he played here at Bird, and he went down there to St. Pete, and he was an assistant coach at Lakewood, and he got the opportunity to coach the Griffin twins. And he coached Isaiah Wynn, and I think he coached a couple other guys. And, man, I was watching some film on Lakewood on Twitter. They had about 100 kids all in a pool, and they was doing some type of calisthenics. It was crazy. Let's see. J-Hub, but probably will be coaching at William Fleming next year. I don't know his coach, who's still the coach at William Fleming. But I know Coach Patrick Henry, the assistant coach, is Zach Hayden, and the coach at Fleming was Coach Lovelace. I don't know, is he still there? J-Hub, Kyle says Lakewood stays in the weight room, especially if you're not playing another sport. Yeah, that's one of the things a lot of people always. Yeah, Coach Lovelace. It's a small world, J-Hub. Coach Lovelace's brother was our trainer. Our athletic trainer at Virginia Union. And then he went to V-State. Yeah, that's the big thing is like now with year-round practice, there's so many kids that are specializing in one sport. And that's something that we don't preach. We don't want our guys just playing one sport, just football. We want them wrestling. We want them playing basketball if they're good enough. But our basketball coach, Troy Mance, I got the utmost respect for him as a coach and as a man and a leader of young men. He just does it the right way. And Chris Herron, his assistant coach, is great. They got a big game tonight. They're going up to Northern Virginia. I think they're going to Freedom to play, but they go all around the state. They was down in Lynchburg playing EC Glass, I think, over Christmas. Yeah, Coach Lovelace is the head coach at William Fleming. But just to go back to got 5 people watching. If you got any comments, questions, go to YouTube. I'm just going live a little bit before I have on Coach Bradley. Hope we're going to have his dad on. But I was just talking about surrounding yourself with people that you want to be like. And some of those people that I tried to surround myself with was like Jimmy Rogers at Meadowbrook, and learning from Coach Mountjoy and Coach Bowles and Coach Bedwell and Coach Kane, even Mark Fisher, the late, great Mark Fisher at Louisa. He had such a great program at Louisa, and they're still rolling. So, football special in the 804 and football special to me in Virginia. I love Virginia, and I'm not beefing with any part of the state. 757, Nova, DMV, Southwest Virginia, Roanoke, Southside Virginia. It's all love. I'll never say anything bad about another part of the state of Virginia. you know, what a great tradition that, Tidewater has, with Michael Vick and Bruce Smith and Lawrence Taylor. I mean, football is important here. All right. So, 30Z says, I'm currently trying to break into the strength and conditioning world for high school sports. Does anyone have any pointers or advice? The highest level of certification, 30Z, is the CSCS certification. And you got to have a 4-year degree. You got to be CPR certified, and then you got to pass, I think it's about $300 or $400 test. So that is the standard, is the certified strength and conditioning coach. We are lucky at Bird to have our own strength and conditioning coach, Coach Hutch, who played at UVA Wise and played at Virginia Tech and tried out for WWE. And he's excellent. And we have such a commitment and buy-in from our administration, in the weight room, and they see it as an investment. I don't think some places see, the weight program as an investment in the kids. Big Coach Ball says, tell us about the story and seeing Anthony Clark when he was the strongest man in the world. We really bought in after that. So I don't know who's from Richmond watching, but, when Wolfgang's gym used to be across the street from where the Krispy Kreme is now, right next to Chippenham, where Best Products was. I think there's a Shoe City. I don't even know if they've shut that down now. But, Anthony Clark, I think he might have been Polynesian or Hawaiian, but he held the bench press record, and he reverse benched. And so he didn't overhand bench. He did like this. So he's actually using more of his bicep than his tricep, is what Kyle's talking about. We went and watched him, and the guy could bench press. I can't remember how much it was. Was it 600 pounds? I mean, it was so many plates on both sides. The bar was bending, but it was at the old Wolfgang's gym before they moved it on Hull Street. And that dude, we asked him what he warmed up with. And the dude warmed up with 135, a 45 on each side. The dude could bench press 700 pounds, I think. And he was a reverse bencher, and he signed our weight belts. So, Jane Hub, do you think that transferring from school to school is a bad thing still? Think that's why programs aren't being able to build besides 8 to 10 schools around the 804? Transferring, I mean, it's been around as long as football's been around. And I mean, back when Mike Smith, was coaching in the 70s at Hampton. And then, a funny story that Coach Smith tells about a great football coach, Coach Newsom, who was the head coach at Kickintan and Heritage and went to JMU to coach, and then went to Virginia Tech and recruited Tyrod Taylor. Now he's the head coach at Emory-Henry. A great story that he tells is Mike Smith helped Coach Kurt Newsom get the O-line job at JMU. And the JMU head coach at the time, I don't know if it was Mickey or not, Mickey Matthews, but he told Coach Smith, he said, I don't know much about this high school guy coming here and coaching because I don't know if he can recruit. Like, that's the one thing they always say about high school guys. Can they recruit? And Coach Smith told the coach at JMU, he said, recruit? Haven't you seen his team? He's like, he's got half of Kickintan's team, half of Heritage's. Yeah, what does he say? He said, he's got half of Kickintan's team at Heritage, and he's got all the best players in the 757. So, if you watch college football, J-Hub, guys are transferring every year. And I think that has something to do with the NIL. What is it? The name, image, likeness, and how, they go on a 1 year and then transfer. And I don't know, it's a one-time transfer rule, but that one kid that's a quarterback at Texas, he went to Ohio State when he was supposed to be in his senior year and got an NIL. Then he went to Texas, and now they got Arch Manning going there. So everywhere you go, there's going to be competition. So, there's been transfer in high schools, and, sometimes I understand that better situation. And, sometimes it's to go to a private school and reclass, get a year older, get a year more mature. And that's why programs aren't being built. I mean, it's everybody always asks me who's going to be good, and usually it's the same teams. It's Highland Springs, it's Verona, it's Manchester. It's Thomas Dale, Dinwiddie. I guess it's tradition. That's so important in those schools. But yeah, maybe it is why. Urban Meyer said about 20 years ago, the days of building programs are over with. He only goes where there's players. Yeah, 7:15. So 30Z, if you check out Anthony Clark, power lifter, you'll see him. J Hub, yeah, Texas kid. He got a $1 million on an NIL. Yeah, so I don't know much about NILs. I understand, why it occurred and everything. And it's kind of interesting with Reggie Bush, getting his Heisman's taken and them losing those national championships, because he got paid whatever it was. Somebody paid for a house or something for his folks to live in Southern California. And, look at what happened with Terrell Pryor at Ohio State and the head coach there, getting in trouble for those tattoos or selling those little jersey pants that they gave him. And then look at Money Manziel getting in trouble for, signing his name and selling his autograph, when he was an amateur. So, I guess that stuff's been going on for a long time. And I guess now with the NILs, I guess cheating is legal. I don't know if there's rules in it or what. I haven't looked too much into it, but to get back on the point about show me your friends and I will show you your future. And that comes from a talk that Mark Marrow, I know Big Daddy Cool, Coach Ball remembers Mark Marrow, Johnny Be Good. I can't remember what his WCW name was, but he kind of played the part of like a Little Richard, Muhammad Ali, flamboyant, talking junk guy. And he gave a talk to some middle school students. You can look at, you can see that on YouTube. He says that, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And the reason that he knows that is because he surrounded himself with losers and he became the biggest loser. And he talks about his mom and how his mom was his biggest fan and how, he would go out at night and then come home at 2 a.m. His mom would still be up when he was in high school because she was just scared that he wouldn't come home alive. And he said all his mom ever wanted was to talk to him. So, that's something we talk about a lot is love. And, how do you show somebody that you love them? And you show them by time and attention. So, kid says he loves football. Well, do you show it your time and your attention? And, kid says he wants to play Division I football. Are you showing your academics time and attention? Do you take care of business in the classroom? Because that's really, when these college coaches come, we have them every day. They want to know what the kid's GPA is. They've seen the film. They see how big they are on the film. They may want to eyeball them to see how big they are in person, but they want to know what that GPA is. And now it's a 2.4 core GPA. And that's in, I think it's 16 core classes. So that's 4 core classes over a 4-year period. You got to have a 2.4. So we've always told our players we expect to be average, a 3.0. Just, if you make a C, you better make it an A and something else, to even it out, because you should have a 3.0. If you have a 3.0, you'll be able to go to most schools you want to go to if you're a good player. But the lower your GPA, the less opportunities you're going to have. I had one of my former players who's coaching. He contacted me about a kid that has like a 1.5 GPA. You can't even get into most colleges with a 1.5. You get into community college or junior college, but at Virginia Union, I mean, there was a time we couldn't take anybody with less than a 2.0. Then they bumped it up to like a 2.2. So if you don't have a C average in high school, I mean, it's tough, man. Like, and it's the first 2 years of high school. You know, your freshman year and your sophomore year, because those colleges are coming in now, and you know they're done with the seniors. They've already had the early signing date. Some of the small schools are still recruiting seniors, but you know these bigger schools, they're looking at juniors, and if they take a junior's transcript, it's only got as freshman as a sophomore year on there. So you got to make good grades as a freshman, sophomore. How do you talk with players who are really good that don't want to go college because of classes, but just want to play football? I mean, J-Hub, I mean, I've got it now. I've got 3 things, you know, that last year I think I came up with, and I wanted to make sure. We always said, like, our mission statement is that we're building a big, strong, fast, and tough football team that consistently competes for championships. But that's a lot to remember. So we've broken it down now, Hub, into 3 things. Number 1, we want to change lives. So, like, if you just want to do the bare minimum in the classroom and you want to play football, I mean, when you graduate from high school, all you're going to have is your transcript. You know, it's not going to say, well, he went to the weight room this many days or he rushed for this many yards. You know, that transcript's going to have a number on it. And if you're a true competitor, you just don't want to compete and dominate on the field. You want to compete and dominate in the classroom. So, like, high school is not hard. You know, go to class, show class, treat people with dignity and respect. That's Mike London at William and Mary. That's what he always says. So first, we want to change lives. 2, we want to help get kids to the next level. So, I mean, if the kid doesn't want to go to college, then you know, being a part of the success program with Matt Bland here at LC Bird and the JVG program, Jobs for Virginia Graduates, we make sure that all of our kids have a plan. You know, are you going to go to school? Are you going to go to a trade school? Even if you go to a trade school, I mean, you can't even get into apprentice school unless you have like a 3.0. So, you know, are you going to go into the military? If you're going to go in the military, you got to take the ASVAB. So, like, a guy that just wants to play ball, like, what really is his plan? If he's not going to make good grades, you know, because we always say, J-Hub, that education is your backup plan. You know, you're not going to play this game forever. You know what happened to Damar Hamlin was really a wake-up call. I mean, I thought it was a head or neck injury, but it was his heart. And, you know, if you ever get hurt, your education is your backup plan. I think I learned that from Coach Kane, not Patrick Kane, but his dad, Coach Kane. He always said education is your backup plan. If you have your education, you have something you can fall back on, you know, even if you do make it to the NFL, which we teach our kids means not for long. So how do I deal or talk with players who are really good that don't want to go to college? I mean, dude, I've never had a kid that was really good that didn't want to play college football. I mean, even guys that are okay or not that good like myself, they want to play college. I mean, you want to go to the next level. So we want to change lives. We want to get kids to the next level. And then 3, we want to build champions for life, because this is not just about winning championships in high school. You know, you can win a championship in high school and then go off and you know, be a loser or end up, you know, making some really bad mistakes and bad choices. But we want people our players to be champions for life. So, you know, J-Hub, I don't know if I've ever had a player, man, that was really good that didn't want to play in college. I mean, heck, who doesn't want to play in college? You know, some of the guys, they want to play in college, but they don't want to put the work in the classroom, and it doesn't mix. Like we said for a long time, you know, there is no football without school. You know, there is no football without school. You know, that's whether it's high school ball, college ball. You know, you got pro football, and you don't have to go to school for that. But that's a full-time job. Then I guess you got semi-pro. And I mean, if it's semi-pro, you know, I've had a lot of players that have gone and played semi-pro, but I mean, you don't have to go to school for that, but you're not getting paid. So I've never really had a player that that was really good, that didn't, want to go to college. All right, he's had a few like that. One kid actually could have walked on at Virginia Tech. Talent was great, just no want to. That want to is important. If you want to do something, you're going to make it happen. Here we go. Tell the story of the All-State Center from Danville after they lost the state title. The All-State Center from Danville. I don't. Are you talking about GW Danville? I don't know that, Kyle. You might have to come on, man, and tell that story. I don't remember which one you're talking about. Yeah, I don't remember that one, Kyle. You might have to remind me. I know there was a second team all-district center that had the latest lay hit of all time. That's somewhere out there. I think it was 5 seconds after the play. So, we're going to get ready to have Coach Bradley on. Yes. Yes, which one? Yes, the latest lay hit of all time. We're getting ready to have Coach Brad Bradley. I thought he quit the team. I don't know who quit the team. What's your most memorable game you've ever coached or been a part of? I mean, most memorable. I mean, I'll give you the good and the bad. I'd say the most memorable probably is beating Hampton. At Thomas Dale as an assistant coach in 2004, beating Tyrod Taylor, who's just a sophomore. And then the bad, probably, golly, Thomas Dale's field, I got quite a few. Thomas Dale's field, beating Hampton, and then Thomas Dale's field, my first year back at Meadowbrook, losing by 1 to Vic Williams, who won his first state championship that year. And then later passed away the next year. And that was pretty memorable. It's hard to forget that one. And then I'd say my last game as a player at Thomasdale, losing to Verona. I guess Thomasdale, I don't need to be having that as a neutral site anytime soon. But that's two of the most memorable. There's been so many games. Dwayne Kelly, yeah. Dwayne Kelly was our nose guard, 130 pounds. He ran down Tyrod Taylor. John Graves ran down Tyrod Taylor. I mean, what a winner he is. Tyrod Taylor is a winner. And we knew that after his sophomore year when we played him, that he was special. So the reason I did this was just to talk about what Mr. B said to Lex Fridman. And that is, the cheat code to life is to surround yourself with people that you want to be like. So, some people said Huguenot senior year. Oh, your most memorable game was against Huguenot your senior year? No, I think David Terrell was a junior. Bruce Branch was a senior. Or did Bruce graduate with me? I can't remember. I remember Bruce's, I think, mom worked in the mall, right, Kyle, or something? We used to go talk to her. Bruce was a great guy, man. All those guys were. Marcus McPhee, Sturdivant, and Raynard Cox, and David Terrell. What a great program Coach Mack had. So now I'm going to get ready to get off here. Thank you for tuning in. We just did a brief little question and answer. I was talking about who you surround yourself with is who you'll become. My dad used to say birds of a feather flock together. It has nothing to do with the color of the feathers. It has to do with what kind of bird you are. You a good bird or you a bad bird? If you're a good bird and you're running with the bad birds, they're going to have you being like them. And, if you're a good kid and you're running with the wrong crowd, they're going to have you going down that same road as them. Everybody's going to make mistakes along the way. But, especially if you're a coach, get around and get some mentors, get some guys that have been there and they want to give back. Yeah, your senior year was epic. Yeah, we had fun, man. We had fun. We lost the regional championship. We beat Huguenot the last game of the year, which was crazy because the year before they blew us out 50-0, and they pretty much had the same team coming back, and we had a whole new team. And I'll tell the story, so this is documented. But after your sophomore year, Kyle, and my junior year, when we lost to Huguenot at Berg, Coach Paul Kett came in and he had a tape, the VHS tape, and he smashed it. He's like, we're not going to watch this blankly blank. He smashed the tape, and like all the film went everywhere, inside of the VHS tape. And he said, next year we're going to go and we're going to beat those guys and we're going to burn that tape. And we took the tape and we like put it up in the corner of the locker room, like in the corner at the top of the wall. So it was like, it just hung there for an entire year, that tape. And then we just looked forward to playing Huguenot that whole season. And then we ended up beating them my senior year, and they were loaded. They were loaded, and they always were. And there were some great battles, man. It was such a great rivalry. So thank you for checking in today, y'all. I love y'all. And keep playing, man. That's my saying, and I'm gonna keep saying it. So just keep playing, keep coaching, and keep doing what's right.